Hello everyone. On this Monday, July 11th, I'm Stephanie Haney here with you now to provide some context before we hear from the family of Jayland Walker. Over the weekend, the Akron Police Department described the situation in the city as no major incidents, but after a weekend of protests, Jayland Walker's family is holding a press conference today, and they are calling for an immediate end to what they say has been aggressive, violent tactics being used by the Akron Police against protesters, and it's possible that they are likely referring to police using tear gas to break up groups of people. So in just a matter of moments, the Jayland Walker family and their representation will be holding a press conference at St. Ashworth Temple Church of God in Christ in Akron. Now, as a reminder, Jayland Walker, 25 years old, was shot and killed on June 27th by 8 Akron police officers. That incident is still under investigation. Now, in this press conference, we also expect for the family to be calling for all curfews in the city of Akron to be lifted. Curfews were put in place by Akron Mayor Dan Horrigan following demonstrations in the city. Now, at the end of last week and over the weekend, that curfew was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and starting today, it has been shortened to 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., but the Walker family is now calling for all curfews to be completely lifted. The family will also be providing details about a unity gathering that will be happening this week, as well as the date, time, and location of Jayland's funeral service. So in just a matter of moments, when we take you to the church, you can expect to hear from Pastor Robert DeJornet of St. Ashworth Temple Church of God in Christ, and also Bobby DiCello, who is the attorney representing the Walker family in their case regarding the police shooting of Jayland Walker. The mother of Jayland Walker, Pam, and also his sister Jada Walker will also be there with their families, though we are not expected to hear from them at the press conference. And we'll take you to the location of that press conference at the St. Ashworth Temple Church of God in Christ in Akron right now.
That one's attached down, so it's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No. So then you want me to move the chair on the left side there?
We're gonna work on it.
Joe, could you be next to Mom and Jay? And where's the which one do you use?
He said they stand behind you, so I'm on the
Scoot up. Okay, keep them all settled. Yep. Yep, and if you could, why don't we just come on out, everybody come out, we'll close the doors behind us. Okay. Oh, okay. All right, all right. Yeah, Jada, come over here.
Okay.
Close the doors. Okay.
I'm standing next to you.
We're gonna close the door. Yeah, right over here. Okay, and Mama right here. Got a chair for Mama?
Yes.
Is everybody in the city? Hey, you. Why don't you get up here so probably can see you? You can sit right here. You can be right here. Be right here next to your seat. There you go. There we go. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here today. On behalf of the Walker family, we have gathered today to denounce violence against the protesters who have gathered to support this family. We have also calling upon the city to stop the blame game. The presentation of the video that we saw on Sunday during the chief's press conference was an attempt to frame Jayland as someone he was not, and the ongoing rhetoric about that must stop. It is precisely what the community does not want. It is precisely what will endanger this community, because the community is hurting right now. As a family, we stand for nonviolence, but we encourage protest. We encourage the First Amendment exercise of the pain and the suffering that's been visited upon this family and this community. And today we want the entire world to know that expressing your pain and your anger about what happened can be nonviolent and can support justice for Jayland. Before I continue with my remarks, I'm going to lay out also the way in which this press conference will roll. We will hear from my partner, Kenneth Barno, regarding the unity gathering that will be happening tomorrow, as well as the funeral details that will be made public here at this press conference. We will also hear from Pastor Robert DiJornet, the pastor of the very church we are gathered at today, to talk about the importance of nonviolence and the importance of expressing oneself in the face of what's happened here. There will be no questions to the family except through myself. And the family members behind me and gathered with me will not be taking any questions. They stand here today to symbolize their devotion to and commitment to nonviolence and to protesting and to expression. Today we understand that the chief of police and the mayor gave a press conference during which the chief and the mayor talked about, or the mayor talked about receiving threats. I too have received threats. I too have been the target of hateful communications. And I didn't make a press conference about that because this is not about me. It is not about the mayor. If one gets involved in law enforcement, one needs to understand what that means. If one gets involved in the work I do, one understands what that means. It's about Jayland. It's about the people of this community. It is not about them. Let's make this very clear. We do not take lightly these threats, and we do not encourage them in any way. But they are not and ought not to be the focus. Again, the city misses the point. It's about changing this violent community into a more peaceful place for all its citizens. That's what it should be about. That should be the focus. We understand that the city has reached out or will reach out to the DOJ regarding what they call gaps between the community and police. Where is the reach out regarding the shooting? We are calling upon a reach out for the shooting by the city to the DOJ. Let the DOJ get involved. They can work alongside BCI. There need not be this difference. The community is not the problem. Again, the city is missing the point. The community and its membership are in pain and need to express itself in a nonviolent way, and that is what we are supporting here today. Finally, we understand that the issue of policies came up during that press conference. There is no reason, not any reason, to take a slow approach to changing policies. That can happen this week. Today, it could have happened yesterday. They could have gone to the office on Friday. So we encourage the city to immediately, and we are calling upon them to immediately begin new policies with dash cams. That is not and should not be in debate right now. The need for dash cams in this city should not even be a discussion. We understand that the machinery and the politics behind that needs to move, and we support in any way we can those efforts, and will stand ready to talk with any member of the city who is inclined to hear from us about how that policy should be written. This family wants that dialogue and wants those changes to start now. Finally, we will not be making any comments about the prosecution. I understand there was a mention of a grand jury today. We are not aware of any grand jury proceedings. We have not been told of any prosecution efforts. And we will, at a later date, express our need for an independent prosecution here, and we'll give more details later about what that will look like. In the meantime, I reserve the balance of my comments now to my partner, Ken Abarno, to talk about the unity gathering and the funeral.
Thank you, Bobby. Along the lines of what Bobby was just talking about, bringing everybody together to heal and encourage the nonviolent protests, all the protests to continue to be nonviolent. There will be a unity gathering tomorrow at the Remedy Church at 1700 Britton Road, and that's in Akron, Ohio. The doors will open at 6:30 p.m. Following that, on Wednesday, the funeral service will be held for Jayland Walker. It will be held at the Akron Civic Theater, and that is located at 182 South Main Street, Akron, Ohio. Beginning at 10 o'clock a.m., there will be a viewing, and that will last until 12:30. Following that, the funeral service will begin at 1 o'clock p.m. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Pastor Robert DiCello.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out and just for hearing us. And I ask you to really hear our hearts here. We're hurting. Our family is hurting. And we do believe in protest. We thank all the supporters from around the country and internally that have come to support us. And we're still saying what we said in the beginning, that we want it to be done in a nonviolent way. But you know, that's a two-way street. People should, we are angry, we're hurting. And people should be able to demonstrate in a nonviolent way, and that goes for our police department too, because they should be acting in a nonviolent way as well. So with it being a two-way street, we want to do this and do it right, because we're not going away. Until justice is served. But we want to do it with dignity. We want to do it with respect. We are overwhelmed by the support that we are getting. And what we really want is to lay our loved one to rest. We want to do it in a dignified way. It's not about grandstanding. It's not about this media attention. But it is about getting this right. And we want to get this right. So we need everybody's support, both sides. I'm thankful for the protesters that have been doing it the right way. Many people have been doing it the right way. Just because they get loud or whatever, that's all right. It's still nonviolent. But protesters also don't deserve to be beat by police for protesting. And protesters shouldn't be going around tearing up stuff either. And we're thankful for all the support. And this family is thankful. And we just ask that you all really hear our hearts here, because we want Jayland's name to be a name that is respected, a name that is honored, and we want to honor him the best way that we can. And we're asking you all support to help us to do that. So thank you all. Thank you all for what you've been doing, and thank you all what you're going to continue to do on behalf of this family.
Thank you. Well done, sir. Okay, at this time we'll take questions. Yes.
The funeral service, is that going to be open to the media at the Civic Theater, or are you just going to live stream, or neither?
We'll be using a live stream service, and there'll be a press conference immediately following.
So no cameras in the Civic Theater?
There will not be media cameras like a pit inside the service itself.
There will not.
There will not be. Any other questions? Yes.
You referenced the mayor and the police chief's press conference earlier today. I know you mentioned that we need to stop the blame game here. They seem to address that directly in saying that the intention was never to vilify Jayland. What would your response be to that?
That's just backtracking. They began their press conference with a picture of him wearing a mask. That says it all. You know, they're trying to turn him into someone to be afraid of. They've tried to make him the problem from day one. We know that the comments that we've received about that press conference and the way they began with their still photos did all that they needed to do from that standpoint. And they've never one time reached out to us or to apologize to this family. Just a simple apology even, that we could celebrate. Just to say from the mayor, just hear anything from the mayor about, you know, we're sorry, you know. So now the chief did meet with us on that Thursday. He expressed some personal condolences, and we appreciated those. But the city, as a city, has not yet reached out to us to say what ought to be said at this time.
Where do you stand on the release of the officers' names that the police department said they're not going to do it until the grand jury investigation is over, the AG finishes the officer? You mentioned the threat Should those names be out now, or is it more of a wait till the investigation is over and see what happens then?
Well, I mean, again, it's not about us. It's got to be about Jayland. It's got to be about this community. And any conversation about threats is just, to me, again, an effort to make the community feel bad about and for the city. That's as a government, that's the wrong message. The city feels bad for itself. The people feel bad for themselves, and they need to grieve. And I was just corrected by Pastor Robert. Go ahead, explain what you just told me, Pastor Robert.
The mayor did talk to the family, and he did apologize.
Privately, yeah.
Yes, just to the family, and gave his apologies and regrets.
And so we would ask for a public statement to that effect. That's what I was saying. Yes, go ahead.
So you're not asking, like some groups have said, we want those names out. You're not asking for that.
No, at this point, no. No, we don't, look, we're not looking to inflame or put anybody at risk. You know, that's not our message. And this family has many, many times gathered together and reminded itself of our purpose here, which is to lead in a nonviolent way and to get through this process and this hurt. Yes?
If the mayor really apologized, why the 8 officers still don't pay administrative leave?
So, at the end of the day, this is a process, and we understand that process. We think a public apology is warranted, okay? We do. Because if you can say it to us quietly, why can't you say it publicly? As it relates to why they're on paid administrative leave, they're being investigated right now, and that's the way the union has worked out their deal. So we're not going to comment more beyond that. Yes?
Would you all consider any type of, I mean, when it comes to when they do eventually choose to offer something towards you, how about it come out of their pensions as opposed to the city's tax dollars? How about it come out of their pocket? Like, where do it, like,
So what we want to do right now is focus on this. A resolution is going to take a change in the dialogue, right? We need the city to recognize that blaming Jayland is the wrong approach. It's going to continue to inflame. And so at every turn, we're asking the city to recognize that, to allow the protests to continue without being violent towards those protesters, and allow this funeral service to continue. And we have no reason to believe it won't, but we just want, as the Reverend said, we just want to put our loved one to rest. Yes?
So what happens when that doesn't happen?
When what doesn't happen?
All of your requests?
Well, we're going to try to be, as they say, hopeful, because we're here and we're willing to talk. And we've heard from the city leadership that they are too, that they want to talk. So we're here to talk.
You may have addressed this, I just want to clarify. DOJ involvement in their community relations team to help set up meetings between families or groups, is that something that you want, that they feel is a first good step, or is that not going where you want that to go?
Well, I mean, DOJ's involvement is fine, you know, on that level. But look, the reality is the focus ought to be on the prosecution and the investigation. And that, to us, is the more substantive piece of DOJ involvement. Yes?
Is the funeral open to the public, or is it only for the family and loved ones?
The funeral is open to the public, and we encourage the public to come out and to pay their last respects to their fallen neighbor.
And to follow up, can you talk about what are the main things the police have done that you're concerned about in reaction to protests?
Well, we understand. We've seen the pictures that you've seen. We've seen protesters with bloodied faces. We know about tear gas. We know about people walking and being accosted by police. And we understand that they've used as an excuse at times the foul language that's been used against them. We don't stand for foul language against police, by the way, and we don't stand for any violence towards anyone, be they a police officer or a citizen. But here's the fact of the matter. The police are in control here, aren't they, right? When the community is hurting, they need to let that hurt out and not take it personally. They need to allow that peaceful protest to occur, and people ought not to be struck or injured in any way as a result of these protests. And I'll echo what Pastor Robert said. We're not interested in people breaking things or damaging property either. It does go both ways, but we've seen citizens injured by police, and that's got to stop. Yes?
On behalf of the protesters are peaceful. We have been peaceful, and we will remain peaceful, and we will remain in the street. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
We are going to continue to fight, to support, and to mourn right with you guys. And thank you for your strength and grace as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes.
I just want to say, when the laws going to change, like the laws need to be changed. Are you working with the city to change the laws and the dynamic of how they shut us down? They shot my cousin 137 times, and the laws are still the same.
So
When are the laws going to be changed?
this is a process, and we intend on working with everyone who wants to be a part of that process to change the laws for the better. Anybody else? Okay, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Sir.
Yes.
The AG 109 bill. That's what's been getting all the protesters kind of messed up. It like violates civil rights all through the bill. I guess my question would be, how does Ohio pass a bill like that and then sit up here and say the police shouldn't be able to do this stuff, but they're the ones that passed the bill that allows us to violate our civil rights? It's very difficult for us to go out here and protest peacefully against the police and do our thing when they're telling us that now, because of the AG 109 bill, that they have the right to violate our civil rights. This bill has been passed by the legislation, and we're just wondering how these laws are being passed, but you're saying, well, one day we're going to get to the laws that need to be changed for black people getting killed or for what's going on, like the young lady asked you. She just asked you, when are we going to get to the laws to get changed for what's going on? And there was like no real response. But then when it comes to the laws for protesters to get beat up, to get harassed, to get told what they can and can't do that violates their civil rights here, that law has been passed with no problem within the last 2 years.
So there's no way that our family can right now address what a legislature has already put in law, and we're not going to make any comment about that. Here's what I'm here to tell you. We appreciate the protesters and the passion with which the protesters have expressed their support of Jayland. We want that to continue to be nonviolent, and we appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you all.